It's Platt. Today we get a little fruity. That's next to Platt's Beer of the Week. So the particular beer we have today is Mango Cart. Comes to us from the fine folks at Golden Road Brewing. A little background to Golden Road Brewing. Golden Road Brewing was founded in 2011 in Los Angeles by Tony Yanao and Meg Gill. Tony was a restaurateur in the area. I believe he already had a couple restaurants by the time Golden Road opened. Today he's part of something called the Artisanal Brewers Collective. It's just a company that owns several different brew pubs, brew-themed restaurants in the LA area. The real star of the founding team for Golden Road is Meg Gill, however. Meg is one of the premier women in the brewing industry, a real shooting star, to say, in the industry. Her beginnings start back in 2007 when she graduated from Yale, of all places, and I believe she studied the classics. I'm assuming classic literature, but the Yale education, I'm sure, did not hurt in the process. One of her jobs out of college was as a regional sales manager for Oscar Blues Brewing. Definitely comes in handy when you want to eventually start a brewery, which she did again in 2011. Today you can also see Meg on a couple different shows on the Vice Network, Beerland and Munchies. In 2014, in the early years of the brewery, she appeared in Forbes 30 for 30 as far as young people in the business world. Wine enthusiasts listed her as one of the 40 under 40, again, mover and shakers in the industry. So that kind of mainland or mainstream press was definitely valuable for the brewery. The original concept of the brewery was that they wanted to take advantage of the burgeoning craft beer scene in LA. Now, of course, California has always been a hotbed for the craft beer movement, but generally San Diego and Northern California, LA had plenty of breweries, but none of them had really caught on, really boomed. And one of the things they noticed was that a lot of these breweries were busy at the brewery, busy at the brew pub. Maybe their beers were all at all different kind of restaurants and stuff, but they weren't packaging their beer and they weren't proactive on that end, especially getting into like grocery stores, convenience stores. And one of their early decisions was that they were going to can their beers. I'm sure something she learned at Oscar Blues, the value of that. And that quickly set them apart and really gave them just a rapid growth. When they opened in 2011, they opened with a 15-barrel system, which is a decent-sized system to open a brewery. But within 1 year, they already upgraded to a 50-barrel system. They were definitely seeing the future, and it was bright. And, of course, with any successful breweries, we always talk about big beer's going to come along. And just 4 short years in the process, in 2015, they sold to AB InBev, the parent company of Anheuser-Busch. This got a lot of pushback in the craft industry. Some people said, well, you guys were just built to sell. Some people were like, man, that's awfully fast. Again, we talked about it. It is what it is. Today, Meg is still with the brewery. A year or so after they sold out, they utilized some of those funds that they got from the sale. They created a R&D brewery just across the street from the stadium in Anaheim where the Angels play. I don't know what it's called. They change these stadium names all the time. But anyway, they have a R&D brewery there. Today, they also own 5 different brew pubs throughout the LA area. So they're still growing. Again, Meg's still part of the brewery, still making things happen. They're still creating new beers, the R&D. I want to say they claim they go through 80 different recipes a year, tried 80 different recipes a year at that R&D brewery, which is a kind of interesting number. Enough about that. Let's talk about some of their other beers. First is Get Up Off of That Brown. 5.5% ABV. It's a brown ale. I love the play on the old James Brown lyrics. It's probably the darkest and the maltiest beer in their profile. As far as their categories of beers, this is typical West Coast IPAs, hazy IPAs. Not a lot of malty. There's no pastry stouts, anything like that. Next is Dodger Blonde, 4.8% ABV. This is a seasonal blonde. Now, I don't know if they just released it during the baseball season or not, but it is an actual collaboration with the Dodgers themselves. I think it was originally released as kind of a celebration for the 2020 World Series. but if you're a Dodger fan, definitely keep an eye out for that. Next is Hazy Heal the Bay IPA, 6% ABV. They say this is a New Zealand style IPA. That's a new one to me. This does have a charitable aspect to it. Apparently, Miguel is on the board of a charity called Heal the Bay to protect coastal areas, there in the Southern California area. So for charity, we always support that. Lastly is Christmas Cart, 6% ABV. It's a holiday fruit cart. This is a cart series with all different kind of, modeled after the fruit cart street vendors. And they have a series of beer with different fruits. This is their holiday special made with cherries, cinnamon, and nutmeg. So something to keep an eye out for. Well, before we try this particular beer, though, let's check out the stats. So real quick before we try this beer, I want to touch back again on the sale of Golden Road. Researching this, I'd forgotten how many breweries AB InBev have bought. Goose Island, Four Peaks, Elysian, Breckenridge, even like the Craft Beer Alliance that Kona and Red Hook and a couple others, Widmer's, had formed, so they didn't have to go the Budweiser route. Eventually got bought by AB InBev. And we've talked about this before. There's a lot of negative feedback, pushback. I've always personally kind of understood if you put your heart and soul into something for 20 years and you're getting older, you want to retire, and somebody hands you a big check, can't blame you. Well, in researching this, I read an interview that Mick Gills did when they sold out, and it brought up another point that I hadn't thought about, but it made sense, and the more I thought about it. She was talking about that they had gotten to a point in 2015 where they're growing rapidly. They got a bigger brew house. They're starting to distribute in other states, however. And there's just a point where if you're going to go national, that next step is so big, takes so many resources, and even someone with her background and education, it was still going to be a lot. If you go into another state, you have to know their liquor laws. Also, too, especially in the beer business, most states have 2, maybe 3 big distributors that kind of control all the beer moving in that state. One of them is always going to be an Anheuser-Busch, carry their products. The other one is going to be either Coors or Miller. Sometimes those are together. And those big distributors, they distribute some other stuff, some of the smaller breweries, but you're always going to be in the back of the line. And if you're wanting to go national, it's probably just easier to take that big check from Coors, Miller, Anheuser-Busch, whoever, Bud, and let them do that work, and you just keep running the brewery. And it kind of makes sense because, again, it's one thing to learn how to make good beer. It's one thing how to learn a nice brew pub, a little bit of internet marketing. National distribution is just an absolute another level. So I kind of get it, and I thought it was kind of interesting she brought that up in the interview. Well, enough about that. Let's drink a beer. Got a little aggressive with the pour, but that's all right. All right, got a slight haze to this beer. Not too cloudy. Nice white foam. Oh boy, that mango, boom, right up front. You can't deny that's mango. Let's give her a try. You can't deny that's mango on the palate either. That is predominantly mango. Just slight hint of wheat. There's no hops to it. Even though this is not an overly sweet beer, mango is not necessarily the sweetest fruit, even though it's a fruit, it's sweet. It's not the most over-the-top sweet fruit, so this beer itself is not over-the-top sweet, but definitely is a sweeter beer. This is something your Bud, Coors, Miller friends would easily drink, easily enjoy. Even your non-beer drinking friends, I think you could get them to drink that. Some of them might like a hard seltzer, stuff like that. This is something to drink. Nice, easy sipper. Medium minus body, real lighter body. I'm not going to say it's in the Coors Light, Bud Light, Miller Lite vein, but not much bigger. But nice, easy drinker, real refreshing. This is a summertime beer. Yeah, just this kind of fits LA. I can imagine being on Venice Beach or Newport Beach with it and just having a couple of these as the sun go down, for sure. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe down below. Also, please like the video because it lets YouTube know we're putting out a good product. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or beers that you'd like me to try, please leave them in the comment section, or you can always contact me on the Twitter page. Till next time, bottoms up.